Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to Authentic Black Goddess TV. I'm your host, QueenAShakur. So, as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at QueenAShakur. You can also follow the QueenAShakur fan page, and you can follow me on Twitter at DGoddess27. Okay, so let's just get into it. Now, a professor by the name of J. Angelo Corlett has been reassigned from 2 courses after found to be using racial slurs and racist labels and nicknames in his lectures. Now, Corlett is still teaching a philosophy course at San Diego State University, and he's tenured. Pay attention. They didn't fire him. They've simply reassigned him, taking him out of the classes that he was previously in. So his removal from 2 select courses comes after students confronted his controversial teaching tactics on March the 1st. However, this was not the first occurrence of student complaints. You see, criminal justice junior Amanda Malowski was enrolled in Corlett's class in his morality and law course in the fall of 2020 for that semester. And the course was lectured using Google Spaces, a mobile app for group discussions and messaging developed by Google. And she says, I reported him last fall for the language and stuff, and nothing was done. Now, the aspiring attorney thought the class would touch on topics relevant to her career goals. However, the offensophobia lecture was given after the ad drop deadline. And from that point forward, she said she hated even attending the class. Now, she said he always said because he experiences racism, he understands. And she says, I get that he experiences racism, but it doesn't justify using the N-word. Now, mind you, Malowski is not a Black student, but she's someone who was complaining about him using the N-word and allowing other students to use it. And here's the thing. I find it very interesting that they have these racist devils who will sit there and say that it's okay to use the N-word because they experience racism. Like the teachers the other week that I reported on from JCPS schools who were using the N-word and calling students, names and cursing them out and all of that. And then the male teacher who was Caucasian, both of them were Caucasian, but the male teacher said that he gets called the N-word every day in class, please. Why would anyone call him the N-word when he's white? And then second of all, even if someone did call him that, you mean to tell me they actually do this every day and he hasn't disciplined them in any way, sent them to the principal's office or any of those things? Please miss me with it. So anyway, goes on to say that Corlett repeatedly justified his language with a variety of arguments. Okay, so they say he would justify it if a white person is offended by him saying the N-word, if they're offended by him saying the N-word, like, why are you offended? You're not a Black person. Really? So he doesn't care about offending Black students. Pay attention. And he would be like, the only people that should be offended are Black people. But when people said he shouldn't say it, he would go back to his offensophobia bullshit lecture. That's what he called it. Offensophobia, saying they were just afraid of being offended. Please. I mean, they make up all these words and terms and add phobia to the end of it. It's so ridiculous. Now, when students participated in the class but refused to vocalize the racial slurs, students said that he would guilt trip them, claiming to censor the slurs. It was in direct contradiction with what he taught, according to Malowski. The African Student Union released a statement on Instagram on March the 6th, which voiced support for the university's decision to remove Corlett from the 2 courses. Now, they say on behalf of the African Student Union, we 100% support this university's decision to remove Professor Corlett from the classroom. We stand with all Black students on this issue. Now, this situation is just one of the many incidents of anti-Blackness and racism, not only within the classroom, but on campus as a whole. Now, Associated Students released a similar statement on March the 8th and said they are appalled by his behavior. Students in the classroom reported that the N-word was a hard R at the end and was said over 60 times. Honey, he's worse than Joe Rogan. Pay attention. Now, the words rape and gang rape were used repeatedly, referencing sexual violence, and he noted that he would only be fired if he raped or killed a student. This is what he told them in a statement. Now, Fire came out with a vulgar article that came to Corlette's office. FIRE is one of the organizations there. They call them FIRE, right? So they said they came out with a vulgar article that came to Corlette's defense, claiming that he was right to use this kind of speech under his First Amendment rights. They say, we have the utmost respect for academic freedom and free speech on this campus. Yet it is impossible to comprehend how repeated abuse of racial epithets, derogatory terms, and disturbing, harmful language that cause trauma and create a hostile learning environment is beneficial to the student academic experience. Well, I tell you what, they can sit there and agree with him and try to justify his BS all they want. But what I will tell you is they would not have been so quick to try to justify it if he was saying slurs, racial slurs about the Orthodox community. They wouldn't have that. He would have definitely been fired, not reassigned. Pay attention. And then also, if people were complaining about him saying, homophobic words or things about LGBTQIA, he would have been fired. Okay, so please, they can miss me with it. But it's okay for him to disrespect Black students. So they say, upon request to define the parameters of Corlette's reassignment, the university said they could not discuss the details any further since this is a personnel issue. The university did, however, release a statement. Here's what they had to say. Importantly, the information shared in the media coverage is not a complete reflection of what has actually occurred. The university holds its highest regards all protections for academic freedom. The university, however, is limited in what we can share about the matter as this involves a personnel issue. And so after reviewing multiple complaints from many students, the university considered the severity of the situation and the support needed for our students and reassigned the professor, they say. Again, as this involves a personnel matter, the university cannot provide any further information at this time. Well, I'm going to tell you like this. I don't need any further information. What I do know already is that this devil is clearly racist and has no problem letting everyone know it. And they're going along with it by not firing him. They just simply reassigned him. Pay attention. The same two teachers that were doing this at JCPS schools that I reported a couple of weeks ago, they too were reassigned and not fired. Now, can you imagine if a Black teacher, professor, whomever, were saying these things in the classroom? Let's not forget that there was an incident, as I think about it, where a Black teacher or a Black professor actually did use the N-word herself, but she's Black, okay? And she used it in a different context or whatever, but even though I did say that she should not have said it either, because if you can't let them say it, you shouldn't let anyone say it, is in a teaching environment, okay? So, but anyway, they fired the Black teacher. Pay attention. They just reassigned the Caucasian ones. So I find this all very egregious, and they just continue to do whatever they want to disrespect Black people. And they don't have this same justifications or this leniency when it comes to saying things about the Orthodox community or those members of LGBTQIA. But it's okay to share your anti-Black racism, right? And also, they don't do the same thing to Asians. Pay attention. They wouldn't allow you to do that. Remember, there was a professor that I reported to you months ago who did call an Asian student Chinaman, and he was promptly fired, as he should have been. But they should also be fired when they say these things about Black students. Please make it make sense. With that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Please drop me a comment to let me know what you think about this. And in case you missed it, that's him on the screen, okay? That is Professor J. Angelo Corlett, the one who's so foolish and thinks that it's okay, thinks it's just perfectly fine to use the N-word because he said he experiences racism. I find that very interesting, seeing as how he's Caucasian. Where is he getting this racism from? Who's perpetuating it on him? I'd like to know. All a load of BS. So with that all being said, everyone please like and share, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
In order for you and me to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another Black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is Black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put 2 dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Tamir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man that go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Amadeus.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Amadeus.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Amadeus.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Amadeus.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind. The prison, my skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Amadeus.
So the only way we're going to get some